Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Here I was about to do a Madonna video about all the great reviews she's gotten in London for her first couple of shows, which, well, were her third and fourth shows, but the first couple of shows she actually performed. Um, all these great reviews from, like, the Daily Mail, the Sun, Music Week, all these, I can't even name how many things I've seen, reviews I've seen, positive reviews I've seen in the last couple of days. I was really surprised because the British media has a reputation for being pretty nasty and not being particularly nice to Madonna. Saying things like Madame X Factor, Madame Extraordinary, she doesn't still have it, she is it. Madonna's return to the London stage to a triumphant reaction from fans and critics. Madame X is tireless, imaginative, powerfully intimate, and all these wonderful things. I thought I really should do a video about these great reviews because she doesn't always get great reviews because she's always sort of been a bit of a target of the media, and especially the London media. Like I said, they have a reputation for being absolutely evil. But then I read something today, a few minutes ago, and I'm like, oh no, why is there always bad news? Apparently, now I did read in one of the positive reviews the other day that Madonna started on time at 9 o'clock and finished at around 11. I thought, that's a bit short, isn't it? Doesn't the show normally go for 2.5 or longer? 2.5 hours or longer? And now I'm hearing that the show has been cut. That there was talk that she'd already pulled a couple of numbers or swapped a couple of numbers, like swap Papa Don't Preach for something, and I think she put So Dade in, or I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but the Fado song in, and she took something out, was sort of what I'd heard, and some people weren't happy that something had been removed. But apparently I'm hearing now she has removed 6 songs. She's removed Vogue, Papa Don't Preach, God Control, Dark Ballet, Human Nature, Sedade, I think something else. I'm not sure if it's varied or if it's just they just removed it all at once, but apparently now the show is down to 1.5 hours, which sounds a bit short. I'm thinking if you took out 6 songs, that would take it down at least half an hour, so it would be probably down to 2 hours. But still, that is a reduction, and some fans aren't happy because they have paid just as much as the American and people from Lisbon, but they're getting a third or something less of the show. They're getting 6 songs less. They're getting a shortened, edited show. Other people are saying, well, my show got cancelled. I would rather have had a shortened show with like 6 songs less than nothing. Or, you know, some people are saying, I don't care about the dancing. I'd rather have Madonna do the show sitting in a chair singing the whole time if she can't dance, rather than cancel the show. So there are different opinions. But myself, when I saw the Rebel Heart show in Australia, I was aware, and I thought the first show in Melbourne was going to be filmed for the documentary, the DVD and everything, because that was sort of what I was told at the time, because it was the first show in Australia in 23 years, and I'm going to make a big deal about that. But then they had issues with actually filming in the arena, and they couldn't get Kylie Minogue to be the unapologetic bitch and other things, so they decided to film the last show of the whole tour, which is Sydney. But so I thought the Melbourne show was going to be full, because I had heard a rumour that Madonna was, because she was starting so late, in order to end late, they were cutting a section out of the show, which was the medley section where she does La Isla Bonita and all that in like the flamenco outfit or whatever it is. That she usually, and that's where she usually ends up at the Rebel at the Heart stage. And she would end up doing the whole section in the Living for Love outfit, which is why sometimes you see her in the different outfits doing Rebel Heart and the songs from the Heart stage. So I was hoping she'd do the whole thing, so I was originally only going to go to Melbourne, then I decided to do Sydney as well. I nearly did Brisbane because it was supposed to be the last shows, but then they changed it and moved it in the middle of the week between Sydney and Melbourne, so I was able to go to Sydney and that'd be the last show as well, so that was great. But yes, she actually cut that section out in both Melbourne shows, and I didn't see that section until I went to Sydney. She did both versions, full versions, because they were filming predominantly the wide shots, because they had all the other shots. They had a lot of coverage from all the other concerts, but they had different riggings for all the wide shots and all the high camera angles and zooming, tracking shots and all that sort of stuff. So they did have to perform the whole concert. So I got to see the whole thing for those last two shows. And at the time, I didn't really register it too much because I was sort of a bit of out-of-body experience. I sort of was traveling around both cities to see all the shows, and I'd seen the Tears of the Clown show, and I'd met all these huge Madonna fans, the super fans who travelled all around the world, and it'd been my first time really meeting other Madonna fans that cared about Madonna as much as me. So it didn't really register, but I do remember a lot of people complaining that she was cutting that section out, and people who only went to those shows and didn't go to Sydney were pissed that they missed out on that section, especially since that section had a lot of the older songs in the medley. So I didn't feel it so much because I saw 5 shows altogether, and I saw both versions of the show, the shortened and the full show. So, but I can understand how people only saw one. The shortened version would have been upset, and I can imagine now how people are feeling who have been waiting in fear to see if she'd actually do their concert and not cancel it, are now hearing that if they get the show, it's going to be a shortened show, and it's going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours instead of 2 to 2.5 hours, and they're going to be missing 6, 7, 8 songs. And I'm kind of wondering, did she do the full set for the first London concert, which all the press was invited to, or did she do a shortened version and they just didn't mention that because, I don't know, I find it really interesting that the press is being so nice to her, because they're normally not nice to her. They're normally kind of nasty. So I do wonder if there's some payola happening there and stuff like that. But it could just be that it's an impressive show, especially in a theatre setting as an actual audience member. Watching it online, comparing it to the productions of the other shows, it isn't that impressive. It is, it's just as artistically sound. It's just not as big, and there's less frills, basically, is what it is. And Madonna's always been about the frills, probably as a sign of her being insecure about her actual talent. She's always overdone the performance level because she never really had the confidence to just sit and sing, which is something I've seen firsthand when she did the Tears of the Clown show. She was quite vulnerable and nervous and insecure and kind of quiet, and she actually needed a fair bit of support from the audience at times, because I just don't think she has the confidence away from the production, which she's always been about the practice and the perfection of the production, as opposed to just performing spontaneously with live. So I kind of find that she's probably afraid to just do a stripped down show, because she doesn't think people will show up just to see her sing. They expect the drama and the hoopla and all the show and the dances and all the moves and everything. But I think she'd be surprised with just a little bit of theatricality and some screens and stuff in the background. She'll do fine. Like, she's doing okay with this, but there's all those other problems. But yes, so the show is being well received. This is great, but she's now shortened it, so the fans are not happy. A lot of fans are pissed off and complaining and saying basically that she doesn't treat her fans well, that she cuts, just like, who else would cut 6 songs out of a show and shortchange people? I'm not sure how many other artists do this, but it does seem to not be very considerate. It does go with Madonna's character, Madonna's persona, Madonna's history. So I'm not shocked. I wouldn't just see one Madonna show anyway because of things like this. If I was going to see Madonna, I would have gone somewhere she was doing at least 3 shows and seen all 3 or 4 or however many, just to make sure, A, I got to see a show in case she cancelled a couple, and B, in case she decided to shorten the show or she ran late or something like she did before. So I hope she has the energy or the organisation to start early and do the whole show, or has the energy to do the whole show, and people don't get shortchanged and don't leave feeling shortchanged, getting only 16 songs instead of 22 or whatever it was. I just like something good to report. I could have done 2 separate videos, I guess, one about the good reviews and one about the shortened, but I just did one. So yes, so feel free to share, like, comment, whatever. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're feeling upset about the shows being cut, or whether you think that the reviews are warranted, or whether you think the show's as great as people are saying. I'm guessing it's really good, but I don't believe it's as great as people are saying. I think that's press and people just sort of trying to fluff the show up a bit because they know it's a little lackluster and it's a little basic, and the people who are being sort of expecting the superficial frills Madonna normally has are going to be harsher on it because, yeah, it's just the more simple nature of the show isn't as flashy, and some people are going to, so I think there's some defensiveness there, and it's not really warranted. I believe the show on its own would be fine, and I wouldn't have minded seeing it. And if there weren't so many problems and money just dropped out of the sky, I'd probably just go tomorrow anyway. I don't have any issue with it. I just wanted to get through to the end and not have to cancel shows and cut shows short and stuff like that. That's all I want, and all any other fans want, I think. But I'm gonna go. Thanks. Bye.